Hello, welcome to another episode of How to Run Profitable Retreats podcast. And I am so excited because today I get to tell you all about choosing your ideal clients. How do you choose them and why do you choose them? And also, how do you communicate to different types of clients? And this is something super, super powerful. So please stay tuned, listen in, and please leave your comments. Let me know what you think. I will be so honored to hear from you and your experience. If this feels aligned, if it resonates with you, how is that experience for you at this moment? So please, let's go into this and see you soon. Bye.
I'm really excited for today. So your ideal clients. So today I will guide you through an exercise. First, like just the centering to come back into our bodies, to get everything away, all the impressions away from the day and getting here and so on, dropping into the moment. And then in one go, we will continue with a visualization where I will guide you through different positions and roles. I don't want to say too much about it. I want you to experience it. And you can choose if you want to do that with your eyes closed or open, standing, sitting. At a certain point, I will invite you to move. So that is actually going to give you the best experience. So maybe now is a good moment like to really organize your space a little bit so you have time and space actually to move around. Yeah. All right. So I'm also going to join you for this exercise. So I would like to invite you to stand up. Yeah. So we really can ground ourselves. See if you can still see me. Okay. Yes. Okay. Just stand on your feet and maybe close your eyes. Arriving in this moment. Nothing to do. Just being here present with us for this session. And just sense that with each inhalation and exhalation, your body starts to relax and get heavier and heavier. And it just happens naturally. And I want you to really connect with your feet, our feet that are holding us straight. And I want you to start observing your breath. Like, where do you feel it in your body? Is it more lower on your belly, more in the middle, or more on the chest? And just observe it. You don't need to change it. And I want you to feel it from the inside, like how your belly is filling up, or your chest as well. And I want you to notice that sensation of moving, like your belly going in and then expanding out, and in and out. And if you pay attention, you will notice that it's not only your belly or your chest. Also other body parts do that same movement, very subtle. See if you can notice that as well. The movement of a little bit expansion and then collapsing. Expanding, collapsing. And while you keep observing and sensing this, I want you to make it just a little bit bigger. Like give it a little stretch. Like exaggerating what your body is doing anyway. And just follow that impulse of expanding and collapsing. And make it bigger and bigger at the tempo of your breath. Like I feel that, or also my chest is moving and my shoulders. They're like going up and then they're going in a little bit. Just following that natural movement and making it a little bit bigger. And feel how you're really becoming one with the movement. And it really is a whole body movement that we're just making a little bit bigger. We're giving space to the breath. So it's the movement of opening up and collapsing. Open and close. And how is it like for you to do this simple movement? And while you continue just breathing naturally without needing to exaggerate it, now I want you to connect with the energy of you as a facilitator, as a coach or a trainer, any kind of healer. So connect with that energy and see what's different. What's different in your breath? Do you feel it somewhere else? And what is different in your body? When you are facilitating, imagine yourself being in front of a group or an individual client. Your purpose is to facilitate transformation. So how does that actually make you feel? And also notice your posture. What is different now? And just keep observing and sensing. And I want you slowly to actually move into the space. How do you as a facilitator or a coach move yourself? How do you walk? Where do you look? What kind of face do you have? And while you move and also walk around, I want you to feel your pace. How are you walking exactly? Is it gently? Is it very strong, empowered, confident, loving? How is it like to be a coach or a facilitator and really embody that role? And maybe there are also some images coming up. Just let them come to you. Exactly. What does your body naturally wants to do when you're connecting with this role? Where do you feel tension? And where do you feel relaxation? And stay connected with this role as a facilitator or a coach. Lenny, could you give me the rights to use the music, please? Okay, let me try this. Okay. And now, still as a facilitator or a coach, I want you to imagine that you have your ideal clients in front of you. And maybe you already know this client. Maybe it's new. Doesn't matter. Just go with whatever comes to you in this moment. And I want you to connect with this ideal client. Just feel the connection for a while. What's that sensation or quality like? And what has changed since you invited in your ideal client? Do you feel a difference? Something different as bodily sensations or emotions? And how is it like to see your ideal client in front of you, so nearby? How does it make you feel? And see if you can give some space to whatever that is. And what is it that you can teach this person or this group of people? What do you think that you can give them? What do you have to offer them? why do you think that they chose you as their coach or healer, facilitator, trainer? Why did they choose you? And where does their story meet your personal story? What is it that you have in common? See if you can tap into that. How does your story align with their story? Imagine that your ideal client is at one step in front of you, is standing there just in front of you. And we would make one step and you will become your ideal client yourself. And then you will look at you, the facilitator, who is still standing where you are now. Yeah? So we're going to inverse the roles. So I will count to 3, and on 3 you step into the ideal client and you become it. And just open yourself up for this experience. 1, 2, 3. Exactly. So what is different in this position as the ideal client? And just start with noticing what's different in the body. How do you feel there? How do you breathe differently? How is your position different? Your body posture. And how does your body, as the ideal client, moves naturally? Notice where the tensions are and where the relaxation is. How is it to be in the skin and the body of your ideal client? And with every breath, you're sinking a little bit deeper into this experience. And I'm going to talk to you and ask you some questions, and you can answer in your thoughts and open yourself for the answers as the ideal client. So what is it that you actually need? What is it that you need the most? And what is it that you say that you need? What are your wounds? What are your pains? What makes you sad? What makes you angry? Just keep on breathing. And let it move through your body. Don't hold on to it, just let it move through. Let the movements just channel it away. While you connect with all of these emotions. And tell me, what are your desires? What do you long for? What do you deeply want? What makes you different from other people? What makes you different or special? And what are your strengths? Where do you like to hang out? Where do you feel safe? Where do you feel seen? And who do you relate with? Who is easy for you to connect with? Who do you like to connect with? What are you afraid of? What makes you feel scared? What do you try to avoid at all costs? And what makes you the happiest person in the world? What are you looking for with your coach or facilitator or therapist? What are you looking for to transform, to improve, to learn, to get inspired by? I want you to connect with the facilitator or the coach just in front of you. Do you see that person? What do you appreciate the most in that person? And what what do you appreciate the most in your relationship with that person? What's the reason that you keep going back to that person? What is there for you? What's the medicine about? And I want you now to take a step and go back into your own role again as a coach or a facilitator or a training. And I will count on 3. 1, 2, 3. You can step back in the role as a facilitator or a coach. And I'll give you a second to just absorb everything that came to you. Let it sink in. All the sensations and impressions find a way to where it needs to be. Just let it land. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly become more present of the space you're at, your environment. Come back to our group here. And you can also open up your eyes. And with the same connection, you can now take one pen and a paper. And I will give you 3 minutes to write down your impressions. The things that came to you, new things, maybe confirmations, whatever it is that for you feels important. About how it was like to be a coach or the healer. How was it like to see your ideal client and connect with it? How was that relationship? And how was it to step in to the shoes of the ideal client? What did this ideal client feel, experience? Let me know when you're done. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna give the word to, well, no, first I actually would like to know a little bit about your experience, if you wanna write something in the chat or say something about it. So how was that like for you? Mhm. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, this was so great. We just had a little bit of like a chat of the scene about our experiences and how it felt. And I have to say, this is very, very powerful. So anytime you're hesitating on who's your ideal client, please feel free to do this exercise because it's so, so good. Like it really drops you into their experience, into their energy. And for me, at least, there was so many reaffirmations of all the people that I already serve and how are they going to the next level. So definitely something that is very, very powerful, right? Like, and this is why Mika and I are always creating these beautiful experiences, because we want people to feel it in their body, right? To really drop into the space, because there's so many technical things that I can teach you, like go do market research, validate your client. And yes, it is important, but it's not everything, right? It's not the whole thing. If you don't know how that feels, how they feel, you might be talking to open space. Like it is such a thing. Like if we're not clear about who we serve, we might as well, it's like going on top of a mountain and screaming something and hoping that the people down in the town are listening to you. Like it's kind of like that. If your message is not clear, if you direct your breath towards like the wind coming face like towards you, then what happens with that message, right? It dissipates, it goes away, like it doesn't stay anymore in the space where it's supposed to go. It doesn't go anywhere. It just like thins out, right? Spreads out, and then it's gone. But what if you use that air to your advantage to really take your message across, right? So instead of fighting against it and be like, this is a person who I'm supposed to serve, what about coming back into the body and like realizing how do they feel, what do they want, but what do they really need, right? And I think I'm gonna start this piece about like who do we serve, because I don't really want to talk about it in the space of like, oh, your ideal client, right? Even though it is, but it's all about service, right? So I want to start with this space of like who do we serve, and how many times we need to go deeper, find the roots underneath it to figure out what they really, really need. And yes, in your messaging, you can be about all of like to message to them on the way of like what they want. It's like sell them what they want and give them what they really need kind of mindset, right? So it's like they might think they need something to succeed, but so many times deeply engraved, there's other things that are necessary for them to have that, right? So instead of like, touching on the top layer and not really going deep, how can we go deep into the process with our clients and figure out really how can we serve them, right? And how do we serve them? And then how do we talk to them, right? So this is very, very important. And why do I use the word serve? I use the word serve because like we are putting ourselves into service, right? Like we're serving someone to transform. We cannot transform someone. They're not an object, right? They're a living being. So we cannot really transform them. The transformation has to be done by themselves, but we can hold the container for that transformation to happen. We can be their support system, right? We can be their accountability system, where they know there is a place where they can come check in and get guidance so they can stay on path, right? So we are serving them towards a transformation, right? So if someone tells you and comes and tells you like, hey, I'm going to transform you, it's not the right use of language, right? And it's not that they mean to maybe hypnotize you and tell you what to do, right? They might have good intentions, but if they're telling you they're going to transform you, then it's not the same. Because the only person who can choose to transform and to change, it's ourselves, because it comes from deep within us. And I hope this makes sense in the way of this explanation. You can transform a business, yes, right? Like someone can come and help you build the website and the funnels and all these kind of things, and then they can transform your business 100% because it's an object, right? But they cannot transform your belief systems. They should not come and change your belief systems and like for you to hope that this is something that they did and then it works for you, you know? Like it has to be about this space of creating this container where they support you to figure out what's going on, what's missing, for you to be able to heal, to transform, to change, to up level, to upgrade, whatever word you want to use for it, right? There's so many words for upgrading and going into the next level, right? Scaling up. You can choose the word that you really like feels connected to you, but really all of us, Meek and me, for example, in this 5-day experience, we are doing that. We're holding the container for you to learn, transform, and pick what works for you and what doesn't, right? And if there's like majority of alignment, then you're like, oh, I might want to go work with them because they're speaking my language, right? So in this case, for example, we are serving all you beautiful people who want to bring dance into your facilitation skills, right? Who want to have a sustainable business. And you don't want to do it in the way of like, this is the only way, cookie cutter approach. Step 1, launch a digital course. Step 2, spend thousands of dollars on ads. It's more about bringing it back to the body. How can we do things differently? How can we do things that are like truly aligned with who we are and where we're going? How can we do things that really are in integrity with our essence, right? Having integrity is one of the key things for one to feel great, because for me, your business is a representation of your energy, of who you are, of your emotions, of your guidance, of what you want to create in your life. It's a reflection of who you are, right? It's an extension. For me, like your brand is kind of like an extra arm that is an extension of who you are. So even like large companies started that way, right? So for example, like if we talk about Apple, right? Apple started with this idea of like making something beautiful from a calligraphy class. So the essence of Apple is still there. The company might be massive, you know, like there might be thousands and hundreds of thousands of employees, but their purpose, their essence is still there, right? I used to work for Marriott, right? So Marriott, actually, the hotel chain started as a root beer stand in Bethesda, right? What they wanted to do, they wanted to serve people. They wanted to create this space. It was a trolley. It was not even a shop at the beginning. And it was two brothers who wanted to sell root beer and create community. From there, it grew, and it has more than 4,500 hotels. Do you go into a Marriott company and you learn about the root beer stand? Yes, you do, because it's the core essence. It's about creating a space for people to come enjoy, right? And now it has rooms, it has restaurants, it has so many things. It has vacational homes, you name it, right? But the essence is there. And the headquarters are in Bethesda. When they did their like relaunch of their offices, they were building new offices like a couple of years, a couple of years ago. They considered moving the office towards a state that was like more BC in this way, or better connected by planes and all these kind of things. And then they said, no, we started in Bethesda, we're staying in Bethesda, right? So think about it. Imagine if like these massive companies with hundreds of thousands of people inside of them have this true purpose and essence inside of it. It's still there, it's permeated, right? I'm not going to say all of them, but you know, most of them, they will have still this purpose, this why, right? And they also say that successful companies begin with a why, because it's not about what the product is or the service, it's why you are doing it, right? So why did Apple want to create this? They wanted to create beautiful things. That's it. They wanted to do something beautiful, right? So you were not staring at the computer that was not beautiful. That's it. Same for Marriott. They wanted to take care of people. Even their whole internal campaign for employees is like, take care, right? Because this is the core essence. So what is your core essence? Why are you doing this for someone else? And this why is going to really take you through the journey of figuring out who your ideal client is. Who do you serve? Because you're going to serve the people who are also aligned with this why. I have most of my products are Apple. Why? Because I love that it's beautiful, it's easy to transport, it's not so heavy, you know, I can choose my pretty pink computer and it makes me happy, you know, it's just like, I like it. Could I use another type of computer or a phone or whatever? I'm sure I could. But I choose one because I like pretty things, right? So they're serving my why, right? They have a why, but it's serving my why I choose something. So you want to make sure that when you're creating your business, your offer, right? When you're defining who you're serving, this is really taken into account, right? You want to make sure that you have a very clear why. And with this why, you can then figure out who's this ideal client and you can go find them, right? For me, it's all about where do they like to spend their time, right? Who is this ideal client? How do they like behave, right? And I'm not talking about the regular, do they have brown hair or blonde hair? Are they 40s or 50s? No. I am talking about this space where we are coming all together and we're like, okay, what do they like to do? Right? Like what fills their heart? Like what brings them joy, right? Or where do they need help that they already are aware of it and they're looking for that help, right? So this is very, very important in this space for me because yes, of course, if you're like having something specifically for people within an age range, well, your ideal client would be within that age range, right? So in that case, it works, right? So I'm not going to say it doesn't work at all, but you want to think about where are these people who need you, right? Who need this transformation, who need this support system spending their time. And there's so many different ways on how you can do this, right? You can validate it like looking on Google, you can look on YouTube, you can look on Facebook, you can look on Pinterest. There's so many different ways. But think about it. If you were 5 steps beforehand where you're today, and those are your ideal clients, where did you used to spend your time when you were looking for help, when you wanted to shift who you are? How do you do things one way or another, right? So if we're talking about, for example, like being a coach, right? So you were not always a coach, right? There was a point where you were not a coach and you wanted to become a coach. So if you're training people to become coaches, they're probably spending their time in the same place where you were, right? Because you were looking for something, right? So a lot of people who do coaching programs, they actually go on Google and they search coaching program for mindset. Do they really go that much on Instagram and search for coaching program on Instagram? Probably not. Why? Because the searchable engine of Google is absolutely amazing. And it's easier to find. You know, if you have an answer, do you go ask Instagram or you go ask Google? As simple as that, right? When you want to figure out something in your life and you're like, how do I unscrew a wine bottle without having a corkscrew? Do you go to Instagram? Do you go to Facebook and ask those questions? You don't, right? You go to Google. So there's definitely places where people are looking for certain things more than others, right? If you're looking for a venue to host like a workshop, where do you go? I would go usually to like Google Maps or something like that, or Airbnb, and be like, okay, so again, I want to host a workshop in, let's say, Mexico City, right? You're like, okay, I need a place that has a space because it's a workshop, it's dance, so it needs movement. So what would be a similar place where I could host this? So you might come to up to your list and be like, oh, maybe a yoga studio, maybe a dance studio, right? Maybe a room in a hotel. So then you go and you find those 3 places, right? So this is how we find things. This is the same way when someone wants to find a client, they do. They go and they search for it, right? So where are these people searching, right? And yes, definitely there are clients on Facebook, there are clients on Instagram, there are people who are going to get inspired and motivated by you, and they're going to find you there. But it's a little bit more of an educational process. So if you see the difference, right? So Instagram, they start following you, they start seeing your things. They're like, oh, I like what you do. This sounds interesting. You know, like there is this whole educational process. Google is a little bit more fast forward approach, right? Like, I want this. I'm going to type it. I'm going to get my answer. I'm going to get 200,000 answers, right? Not just one. I'm going to get tons of it. But for some other things, Google might not be the right thing. So if you're looking for, let's say, a dance facilitator, like a dance workshop, right? You want to go dance, you might not look for Google for that, you know? You might actually go into Facebook events and see events near me, right? And then, or you would go to Eventbrite, or you're going to go and see like, dance here, because the reality is that all these like smaller workshops, people don't like, their instant thought is more into like social media than going into Google. So see the difference, like Google, like search engines, like very problem solving focused, social media more inspirational, more educational, a little bit more into like, oh, I found this sounds interesting, I'm gonna sign up. So you want to figure out where are your clients spending or what their time and what are they looking for? Are they looking for a longer thing, like a training that has a certification? They might be in Google. It doesn't mean they're not maybe seeing it in social, but once they want to like really go into it and be interested, they're going to go and look at a website, right? At the same time, attention span is horrendous, right? It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So you want to make sure that your message and who do you serve is so clear so they cannot miss it. Like there's no, like I used to write super fluffy, you know. I'm guilty of that. I used to write like these beautiful, super long stories of like, I don't know, princesses, cotton candy, and flowers, right? Everything was like so beautiful. And then I realized that my message was not coming across as important as it was. Why? Because people didn't have time to read these beautiful stories that I was taking hours writing, right? Because they have so many things. So I was like, okay, let me do this in a way that the entry point is very clear. You want to like, if you're like having, let's say, a dance workshop, right? Or a retreat or anything, a training, whatever you want to call it, a coaching session. And if you put all the fluff, like experience a sensible moment of gathering and connection with like-minded souls and some dance. Like people are already lost, right? So yes, you can have the description, it can have this like connection piece that is important and everything, but in the forefront, it should be dance workshop, heal through dance, transform through dance, transform XYZ through this, right? So what do you do? How do you do it? And where do you do it, right? So 3 main messages. That's very, very important. I hope it makes sense for all of you who are listening to these, but it is very, very important for us to very, very clear for a message. They say in psychology that there's like, it takes 7 touches for someone to remember the brand. 7 touches means they need to see you 7 times for them to remember that you exist. Okay, not to purchase, not to click, not to do anything. 7 touch points for them to remember you. They say it takes 32 touches for someone to actually think about converting, to like consider you as an option, right? So if you think about it, it takes a lot of touch points because there's so many things out there. You know, there's a sea of voices out there. Everyone is talking. Everyone has something to share. Everyone has created something. So then you need to make a mark. They need to see you for who you are. And I'm not saying just create this like flashy brand that, you know, like talks about something that is not aligned with you and is not in integrity with your purpose because it's selling. No, I'm saying be real, share your purpose, and just keep showing up, right? So if you're not visible, right? If you're not going out there, and I'm not saying this like in the sense of like go and record 3,000 reels, okay? This is not what I'm saying. But if you're not visible out there, you're kind of being of disservice to your ideal client because they might need you. And because you're not showing up, you're not being consistent, you're not sharing your message, they will not see you, right? And trust me, they're not gonna wait for you to become visible and to be able wanna show up. They're gonna find someone else. And that someone else might not be actually the perfect fit for them because maybe you were. And you just decided to hide behind a screen, right? We hide behind busy work. I've done it. I'm sure so many of you have too. Right? So you want to make sure that when you are doing everything you can about your business and your ideal client, you realize that you need to show up. They need to see you. You can have all the market research. You can pay companies, they charge hundreds of thousands of dollars for market research on your ideal client and how you talk to them and which languages you use and what images you can use and what images you cannot. It's not going to make a difference if you don't use that information, right? So for example, like when we used to pay companies to do this research for us, right? So we had a whole research about like African and Arabs, right? And one of the main things that I remember that was very interesting because all the campaigns for beach locations for Marriott were feet walking on the sand. And the research said that they don't really like to see feet. So we had to remove from all our campaigns in the Middle East the pictures of feet, right? For people from Africa, the research showed that they like to be greeted by their first name, that they want to be recognized. It's all about recognition. So they really appreciate that and value that. So when they're scoring you after they came to the hotel or had an experience with you, one of the key points that makes them have a good experience is that they felt recognized. Europeans, for example, they don't care that much in the space of like, did they use my name? Did they come and, greeted me every morning? Or did I walk by and they said hello? They don't care that much. So it's all about also this cultural approach, right? So how do we talk to the people that we want to talk, right? How do they listen to our message? How do we communicate? The same thing happens if our ideal clients are in the corporate space. How do we talk to them? Do we talk to them like, hi, bro, this is it, hang out? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. In the corporate world, they see thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of emails every week. You want to go to the point, bullet points, bold what it's important for them to see. Not a 50,000 page presentation, 10 slides tops. And that's already a lot, brochure style with numbers. What can I do for you? How is your numbers talk, right? For people in the corporate space. How is having this workshop, bringing dance into your office space, going to change the engagement of the people inside the company? And then you can do research. There's so many amazing researchers out there that talk about behavioral psychology, and you can use those numbers, right? There's so many people doing research about this right now. It's like the beautiful time to be in, because so many people are spending their resources to do the work for you, right? So if you're talking to people in an office, in the corporate space, you want to talk numbers. Numbers sell, right? If you want to talk to people in this same space and you're talking about building your business, even if it's for spiritual people in the spiritual transformational world, you do need to have a blend, but you do need to talk numbers, because one of the biggest struggles for people in the transformational world is numbers. They're like, I resigned my life from Excel. I don't want to see a spreadsheet ever again, because I want to do my healing work, right? I want to be helping people transform and change their lives. So I don't want to spend my time doing endless spreadsheets. So what about creating a super easy spreadsheet? So they just need to input the data and everything else is done for them. Would that make a difference? Would that change the relationship to what it is to work with a spreadsheet? It would, because you can make it easy for them, right? So when you're talking about who you serve, you want to talk their language and you want to help them in the pain points that they have, right? What are the things that are missing for them to go to the next level? I'm not saying for them to be okay. So there's a difference, right? So because this is something that for me is very, very important. I truly believe that we have so many things, so many tools already in our toolbox that can be taken and utilized to go into the next level. But sometimes we just need this catalyzer, right? We just need one thing that takes you to the next level, right? It's like maybe someone coming and telling you, hey, what if you see it this way? What if you try this approach? What if options that streamline the process, right? So maybe they just need that, right? And this could be a spreadsheet. This could be making the work easy for an executive assistant in a corporate office. So when then she pitches this program to her boss, she already has the numbers of how is that going to benefit the company? And then she looks good. You can either offer to create the presentation for the proposal for this retreat, experience, team building opportunity within their branding. So she doesn't even need to do a presentation to pitch, right? So think outside the box. Really, I'm giving you a lot of useful stuff here, because I think it's very, very important. Sometimes we want to just put everyone inside a box and be like, yes, they need life coaching, so they're all the same. They all have the same needs. They don't. Let's talk a little bit more about that. If you are a coach for moms, do you need to be flexible with your timings? Yes, right? Do the sessions maybe need to be shorter? Probably yes. Do you need to open slots during the times where their kids are maybe at school? Yes. Are they working moms? Then that time schedule doesn't work anymore, does it? Right? Because then they're probably working, so they cannot go into a session with you, right? So think about it in this way. I did this workshop on ancestors the other day, right? So it was on a Sunday and it lasted 4 hours. Would I have been able to take that workshop if it was any other day of the week? No. Because for me to take off 4 hours of work in the morning, right? it would mean I would need to like move appointments, move meetings, move things. I would need to plan so much more in advance. But if they give me this option to actually do it on a Sunday, where it's my day that I can rest, I can do some personal work, then I'm so much more keen to doing it, right? So also even finding what day works for them, right? What time? Like, are they students in university? Which kind of universities are they coming from, right? What is their like schedule? Do they live in, like, let's say in America, where a lot of them, they will have a part-time job afterwards? Or do they live in other countries where that's not really common? Like in Mexico, it's not so common to have a part-time job after school, right? Of course, there is people who do, but it's not that much of a culture, right? Like you have a lot of homework. They give you a lot of homework when you go to school. So you spend your afternoons doing homework. So really, there's not that much like free time for you to actually go and work. Maybe you work over the weekends if you want to do something, right? So thinking about it in that space, where are they hanging out? What are their needs, right? How can you serve them best? And by serving them, you serve you. Because if you transform, I transform. So we all grow together. And we all need to up level as instructors, trainers, facilitators, life coaches, retreat planners, whatever it is. We all need to upgrade. As our clients grow and then they reach towards our level, then we also need to grow so we can still serve them and then serve another ideal client, right? So that's why investing in yourself when it comes to training is so, so important. And I'm not saying spend your life doing trainings and not putting your business out there, okay? I'm not saying that. But there will come a point where you're going to realize that there's this catalyst that you're missing. This little hole that is going to put all the chains together. It's going to create this circular, holistic approach to your business. And when you see you need that, that's the moment to say yes. I'm not saying it's right now. I'm not saying when it is going to happen, but there's going to come a moment where you're going to be like, I want to add this into my practice. And it's not because you need it to feel validated, okay? This is very, very important. It's not because you think you need more certifications on your website. No one cares, honestly. There's going to be like a 0.0001% that are going to care about the certifications that you have for them to be able to hire you. Really, unless you're in the medical sector, right? It's not so important. So if you're doing it for the sake of, you think, oh, if my bio feels like there's so many more certifications and awards and all these things, that's when I'm going to be successful. You're doing it for the wrong reason. The right reason for you to choose to invest in yourself and take a training and go to the next level, it's because you feel this is going to be the catalyst that is going to take you to the next level. It's going to help you expand. It's going to take you upwards, right? So really figure out your why. Why are you saying yes to a program, right? Why are you saying yes to a training? Why are you saying yes to a certification? Like, why? Like, what is the root cause of it? And if it's not the right root cause and you already signed up, it's fine. Just now repurpose it, right? Repurpose it, change it, rethink it, like reconnect your neurons in different pathways. I don't know about you, but when I was young, they used to tell me that you should be very, very careful about hitting your head because neurons die and they don't reproduce, right? This is what they used to tell me, right? And now we know, amazingly, that they not only reproduce and then we have more, we can rewire them. Like, it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be living in right now, right? So when you're thinking about this, when you're thinking about like, who do you serve? How do you serve it? What do you need? Then go to the next step and think, okay, am I ready? Is this what I need to be able to serve them? Or am I good as I am right now? And then maybe in the future, I'll add something else. But again, always remember to do a check-in, right? And see if you're not showing up or you're waiting until you finish your next training to show up, where is it coming from? Is it coming because you don't feel you're ready? And sometimes, yes, we are not ready, okay? I'm not saying that you're over, like sometimes there are certain things that you need to do. Like you cannot do surgery on someone if you haven't learned the body, right? Where the organs, like they stay, right? Like it is like we do need certain, like we need preparation, but don't use it as an excuse not to show up, right? Don't use it as an excuse to not serve your ideal clients because they need you. They're out there and they're looking for you. They just haven't found you. So anyway, I love this topic, as you can see, right? This is something that for me is so important because we want to make sure that we are talking to our ideal client and we know who they are and how they feel and what we can do for them, right? So my question for you is now, what do I offer to this ideal client? What do I offer, right? Ah, this was powerful. Thank you so much for like listening to all this information about like ideal clients and how you talk to them and how do you communicate and everything, because it's so important, right? So just to do a little bit of like a recap for this, right? So who do you serve is so important because you want to be able to know where they're spending their time. How do you talk to them? How do you take it to the next level? You want to know also like what verbs do you use, what you don't use, when is it time to upgrade and to get a new training, when are you already good, right? Like when are like moving from this lack mentality to an abundance mentality when it comes to like being ready to show yourself up in the world, and thinking that there's always evolution, right? We're always evolving, we're growing, and as we grow we will need to get into more trainings and get ourselves ready to the next step. So this is very powerful, right? So I want to make sure that you know that there is an inner knowing inside of you, like you already know, and you just need to tap into it and go figure it out, right? So yes, this is all when it comes to your ideal client, and really the invitation of like, what do you offer? And what is your why? What is your why? Really? Like this is a beautiful invitation. So thank you for listening. And yes. All right, I really hope you enjoyed this session today about how to choose your ideal clients. I know we had already like a little bit of a recap, and now I want to actually invite you to join my 5-day challenge to sold out retreats. Yes, as you hear it, I am running it again. It's so exciting. People absolutely love it. It's full with knowledge, and we get to spend 5 days together. So if you are interested in hosting and running retreats that are profitable and heart-centered, sign up for this challenge and join me as we go through this beautiful process of getting to know our ideal clients. How do we serve them? Where do we find them when we want to sell a retreat? So have a look at the link in the caption, and I hope to see you there live.